Hey, what's up, everybody? BDF44 coming at you with another video. All right, so the Lakers are fresh off a loss against the Clippers last night where LeBron James played basically perfect basketball, hit 9 threes, no turnovers, no fouls, 46 points. He was LeBron James. You know what I mean? I don't think there's a better compliment to pay the king than to say he was himself yesterday. He was absolutely his very best, and we just didn't meet his fire as a franchise. We didn't put the stuff on the floor that was good enough to compete with him last night, along with him rather, against the Clippers. So tonight we hope to remedy that. We're getting just a plethora of players coming back tonight for the San Antonio game, which is, as I thought more about it, makes more sense than I gave it credence to, because at the end of the day, when you bring in players back into your lineup, it's going to be a lot of uncertainty with your rotation. It's going to be a lot of uncertainty with what guys are going to do. You expect to turn the ball over more, etc. And we're bringing back like 4 players tonight into rotation. So the last thing we necessarily wanted was to have to do that against the Clippers, because it could, in theory, thrown us off. But obviously, when you see the game play itself out, you would have much rather had that flip on its axis and have all those guys come back last night, and then not come back tonight. But I guess it makes more sense from a continuity standpoint when you consider the talent level. You don't want to throw those guys at the Clippers. The Clippers are basically the best team right now playing in the Western Conference, if you ask me. Judging by how they played against these San Antonio Spurs and against us, they hadn't missed at all. You know what I mean? At all. So going up against them in any way or fashion was going to be tough last night. But these Spurs are a tanking team who are shooting the ball well right now. That's what you're running into. They beat the Brooklyn Nets, even though Keldon Johnson did his let's brick a bunch of threes, hope we lose routine. It didn't help because they didn't have no Kyrie. Of course, KD's down, and they didn't have anything to throw at San Antonio. So the Brooklyn Nets are the only team that they've beat in about 3 weeks, and it was an anomaly. But I will tell you, if you don't score a lot of points against this San Antonio Spurs team, they can accidentally fall into a victory against you too. Because that's how well they're shooting, and they got some guys who are starting to get more minutes, who are starting to show what they can do. A guy like Malachi Branham is a player who's starting to get some real minutes, and he's showing his ability. Their rookie Blake Wesley is a player on the back of their bench who's starting to get some minutes, who I know could pop. A guy that I talk about a lot, Romeo Langford, out of Boston, who played with the Boston Celtics on the back of the bench for several years, is now starting to show what he can do with the Spurs. So you got to pay attention to those players, because those are the guys that I think could get some minutes tonight and really do something for their team in this 4th final meeting against the Los Angeles Lakers, where we've beaten them 3 out of the 4 times, or 3 of 3 thus far. So this is what I'm thinking about in regards to San Antonio. Essentially, this is trade time, and they got a bunch of trade pieces. So I'd imagine they're going to want to play those guys. Doug McDermott, Jakob Poeltl, Josh Richardson. They should be able to get some run tonight, because I know at the end of the day, they're trying to get us to give them Russell Westbrook and possibly 2 picks for that exchange. And in my mind, that's like something that we shouldn't even consider, based on the talent level of the players involved, except for Jakob Poeltl, of whom is going to have to be renegotiated with. And I just don't see his piece as the most important piece for us to pay at the end of the summer. So I'm not interested in that return. We're at a space where maybe you want to move on from Russ, though. After last night's game and some of the other stuff that's just going on this week, we're in a space where we're not so happy again. And the ebbs and flows are just continuing. You know, we're kicking the can down the road with Russell. It's just week to week, basically. One week he'll be stellar, the next week he'll be down. And I think it may have something to do with the trade rumors. I think it may have something to do with just overall playing at home. We've talked about this a lot. Anytime there's a game at Staples Center, it seems like he plays a little worse. He's much better on the road. So these are the type of things I'm just over as a fan. Russell Westbrook is one of those players where you have to live and die with his mistakes, and you can't function properly if he doesn't do what he does. In these last 2 games, he has not done what he does, and we have barely had any success. Obviously, we won the game against the Memphis Grizzlies and Portland Trailblazers, but against Portland, he was nowhere to be found, and that was why we found ourselves in a huge deficit at the half that we had to pull ourselves out of. So we need him, but we'd like to not. You know, it's that kind of thing at this point. There's been a lot of questions about his attitude all tenure long, but as of late, it's just been a situation where he's been jarring at the media, unhappy after wins, stuff like that, because he hasn't been playing and getting benched and all kinds of different stuff. So we're just at a space where we're like, all right, the fullness of what we've looked at is reached a space where we don't want to trade 2 picks to get rid of him. But if there's any way we can remedy ourselves of having to be dependent on him playing well, it's probably be good for the unit that we have here. Because at the end of the day, we live and die with him, and it shouldn't be like that. You know, we need his driving at the rim. We need his playmaking ability. We need his striking ability. But the very same things that you also need will be the same things where you'll lean on him at the end of the game, and you're going to lose the game because of it. He's going to do something terrible, and we saw a lot of that last night where he just did things that he's prone to do, and as a result, we lost. You know what I mean? I mean, it didn't. It's not as simple as to say it was all on one person, but when you consider continuity and you consider what you're seeing down there, he had a great deal to do with it. When he's not playing his best, you know, we can't succeed. So that was how it is before all these players that are coming back tonight will be coming back, because you're not going to be as dependent on Russell Westbrook when you got AD coming back, Lonnie Walker's possibly coming back, Austin Reeves is set to do a test on his hamstring today. If the strength is good, he'll play, and Rui Hachimura is going to make his debut tonight. So we got some real reinforcements coming in that should shuffle our lineup quite a bit, and I'm super intrigued with the possibility of us getting away from small ball. Our coach is going to do whatever he chooses to do. A lot of the stuff that he's chosen to do I haven't agreed with, but I think a lot of that may have to do with the choices being so slim. We get him out there with some more bigger wings, more size to choose from, and I'm hopeful that we'll see that. So this is what this game is about. It's about reestablishing an entirely new unit. Because as you know, if you remove one piece and that piece is substantial, or you add a piece and that piece is substantial, you've changed the team. And let me tell you, we are adding a substantial piece of Rui Hachimura. This young man can shoot the mid-range jumper, has a big body, stands about 6'8", 7'2" wingspan, 230 pounds, pure muscle. This brother can shoot, great balance on his set three-point shot, and some good stuff. Now, from what I understand, even though people are saying he's a defender, my understanding is he's not a defender. My understanding is that he has the body to do the job, but the mindset, sort of like Thomas Bryant, he ain't there. The coach is going to have to work with him defensively. That's my understanding. However, I ain't seen enough of him, so I'm not rolling with that. We will pay attention to him, having listened to what people have said. That's about as far as I'm going to take it. I have an open mind about Rui Hachimura on both sides of the floor, and I'm ready to see him develop in our uniform. Unfortunately, we do have pressure for him to hit open jumpers and to give us rebounding particularly, and to guard bigger players. So if he can give us good effort on that side, and our coach can put him in rotations that fit his game, put him next to players that can complement him, I have no doubt that Rui Hachimura is going to turn into one of our most important role players and one of our most important scoring threats. So my enthusiasm about this young player is very high. I was excited about him when he played for Washington. I would have been happy to have acquired him at any point in these last couple of years, because I just know when he gets minutes, he plays well. Now, he's had some games where he's played poorly. You can see the stat sheet over the years. You're going to see some bad games. But you're also going to see him playing for the Washington Wizards. You're also going to see that he was on the floor with a bunch of nobodies, no disrespect. But it was what it was. He didn't have no Bron. He didn't have no AD. He didn't have nobody drawing the defense away from him. Here, he's getting open shots left and right. He's getting the people looking for him. He's going to see how it is to play with a guy like Russell Westbrook when he's attacking so fast and getting him the ball once again. Because as we know, he's played with Russell Westbrook in Washington along with Troy Brown. And Thomas Bryant was on that roster too, even though he didn't get as much run with those guys because of the injury. At the end of the day, we're bringing in an entire unit that knows one another. The Washington Lakers are in the building, and I'm not unhappy about it at all. I think this is a good foursome from a good unit that made the playoffs. So as we look at them, do what it is they do tonight, a couple years more so, develop for those three guys, I think they're going to bring more to the Lakers than they brought to the Washington Wizards, especially with the talent that they're going to be playing with. So I'm an excited Laker fan. I'm happy that Rob made this decision. I don't miss those 3 picks. Kendrick Nunn, we wish him well, but we definitely don't miss him. So this is going to be a great addition to our team. And with the acquisitions or the re-establishment of the other players that we're bringing back from injury, our team should be probably twice as good as they were last night. Simply twice as good. And so that's the excitement. A lot of what we were complaining about and assessing, it's just not relevant anymore when you're bringing in the type of pieces that we're bringing back. Austin Reeves, hopefully he'll be able to give it a go. We've missed his intelligence. We've missed his offensive rebounding. We've missed his shooting. We've missed the intangibles that Austin brings to the table, passing the rock, it's just been a very, very difficult time watching our team without his intelligence down there to assist LeBron James and our other players. We've had IQ issues up and down since that boy got hurt. And I don't think that's happenstance at all. He's one of our most important and established basketball minds on the court. And with some of the issues that we have, we just understand how important Austin is, and we need to make sure we have his free agency money at the end of the season so that we don't go through a whole season of what it is we just saw for the last couple weeks. We need that kid smarts down there. And Lonnie Walker. Lonnie Walker is somebody I'm wondering if we're going to be able to keep. Obviously, he's going up against his old team tonight. If he's able to go, that's not established at all. So we just kind of keep our ears open to it. With everybody else coming back, you'd assume he'd be coming back, but it's not guaranteed. So this is one of those situations where we still are awaiting players coming back if possible. But if he does go, the question is the Lakers going to be looking to feature him for a trade, or are we looking to reestablish him as a role player in this system for the rest of the season and what have you? So I'm not really sure. We do have some more trades to make, in my opinion, because we got some contracts we could afford to get rid of. Him being one of them if we're not going to re-sign him. Patrick Beverley definitely being another. And, of course, Russell Westbrook has already stated. So I want the Lakers to make moves, man. I like where we're at. After LeBron James playing last night, I've adjusted my opinion in regards to the first-round picks. I just don't know if I can watch LeBron James play like that and justify not taking the chance going all in. You know what I mean? After last night's performance where he literally didn't turn the ball over, had 9 3-point shots, going up against one of the best defenses on the planet and one of the best offenses. For him to play that good, I know for a fact that I'm messing up if I have stuff that can help him and I'm not using it. Now, if he's playing like trash, he's throwing up 1 for 10, which could very easily happen if he's attempting that many threes. When they're falling, you're a genius. When they're not falling, we're hating. And I hope Bron understands that when nights like this. That's the difference. They fell. Those same attempts aren't exactly good if they break. But nevertheless, that's what we have to react to. You have to react to what you're seeing. And what I'm seeing is, in a very, very small sample size, based on just zooming in on one game, this is somebody that you probably don't want to withhold opportunities to invest in at this point. Especially since you have a short window from which to have them. Now, do I still value them first-round picks? Of course. Would I love to get through the trade deadline without having given them up? Yeah, I would. I'd like to slip past the deadline and still have them accidentally. That's kind of how I'm looking at this. If I, just forgot to pull the trigger on a trade, sorry, Bron, I'm not exactly going to throw my phone across the screen because I know that's what's best for our long-term health as a franchise, just from the sheer notion that we don't have many tradable assets. However, tradable is key. We do have other picks that are not tradable, and because of it, the tradable ones probably should be invested. That understanding is in place, and we should still shop those picks if people believe what they saw last night is a continuum that can take place going forward. I don't know. I don't think it's a good bet to bet on LeBron James staying healthy. I don't think it's a good bet, Brandon, on AD staying healthy, and I certainly don't think it's a good bet betting on both of them to stay healthy. However, I can't ignore what I saw last night as an indicator that investing is probably a good decision. It's just an indicator. Doesn't mean that you should follow it, but it is something you take into account and look at over the next several games as we continue to see him play this level at 38 years of age. You got to respect your reputation on the line, given the fact that he is playing so well and you do have him lining up with players that cannot match his fire. Now, granted, if they all come back tonight, all these guys come back tonight, and we go on a 3-game winning streak, beat the Celtics, beat the next couple games or what have you, then we can start looking at this situation and saying, okay, we got the help we need. We don't necessarily need to do too much more. Maybe we do one more little move and get out of here. But if for some reason we look over the next several games and Rui doesn't play well, AD gets hurt again or some weird stuff like that, I'm looking at those 2 picks and I'm still assessing LeBron James' high-level play when looking at it. You know what I mean? AD going down again would definitely change my mind about a lot of things. But at the end of the day, I just don't want to find myself in a situation where I'm looking at LeBron James saying I didn't do enough and should have because of how well he ended up playing at the end of that season. You go, the rest of the season, he's an MVP candidate and you didn't trade nothing. You still got him running around with Patrick Beverley and Russell Westbrook bricking shots to turn the ball over. I just don't think you recover from that if you're the Los Angeles Lakers. If his fan base walk out of here saying they didn't even try, and he balled all the way out. You know what I mean? So that's where I'm at with that. Obviously, there's a game being played, and we want to talk about the Spurs tonight. So let's segue more so into their team. Jakob Poeltl is a guy that we know is on the trade block. He's an expiring contract. They'd like to move him. This is one of the perfect games to try to feature him. Anthony Davis will be on the floor, so hopefully that'll change things for his prospects of playing well. But this is one of those games where you're just going to want to see him if you're the Lakers. If you're thinking about making a trade for a guy, you hope the San Antonio Spurs will play him, and you kind of hope he'll do some things that'll make you feel like trading for him is a good idea. Same thing with Doug McDermott and with Josh Richardson. Players that I'm not that high on, but Doug McDermott did have a game a couple nights ago where he hit 3 threes, shot pretty efficient. So I want to note that, since I was pointing out all the nights where he wasn't shooting very well. I think that's balance to be had there. And Josh Richardson has really been playing much better as of late as well. He's had some good games in a row where he's scored in double figures and things that I think would indicate that he's going to be an addition to the team if we acquire him right now, especially for a second-round pick. I think that should be something the Lakers should do. So that's my adjustment to thinking. Same goes with Bogey. I've been anti-Bogdanovich, one of the few people in Lakerland that's very much against acquiring him at 34 years of age on a multiple-year contract. However, if we can acquire that contract without giving up any first-round picks, I think that would be something to study and explore and maybe pull the trigger on. So that's, I wanted to adjust my thinking. I'm not against acquiring the talent that we're talking about acquiring if we can have them at a price that we like, whatever that would be defined as. If it's a good price, anything's worth having. So let's make that clear. At any rate, Los Angeles Lakers continuing to talk. Keldon Johnson, he's a designated three-point shooter for the San Antonio Spurs. He's very accurate. When they need him to make them, he'll make them. When they need him to miss them, he'll miss them. But he's the centerpiece around the tank. He is the machine that makes the tank go. He is the team. He's the guy who's supposed to make sure the San Antonio Spurs do not win basketball games no matter how well the teammates are playing. And that is what I've understood his role to be since we've watched this team so many times this season. Having played them early in the season, that's their strategy. Keldon Johnson, shoot us out of the game, please, so we can secure Wembanyama. That is the name of the game. He did it against Brooklyn, and they couldn't be successful. Other people have chipped in by missing shots. It just wasn't working. Brooklyn was that bad. They were just that bad. But other than that, they're able to succeed in this every night. So what we need to do is assist them, man. We don't want them to win a basketball game no more than they do. They're trying to go after Wembanyama or Scoot Henderson. And damn it, I think that's a worthy reason to lose. Honest to God, I think it's worthy. Because ultimately it could lead to them getting multiple championships. And we know as a franchise, they know exactly what they're doing. They're resetting their timeline like they're supposed to. They're giving themselves a real foundation. And they're hoping they can get a championship because of their sacrifice. And so it is what it is. We got to help them do that. We can't get in their way. We don't want to, take away from Wembanyama for San Antonio necessarily. We're not rooting for them to get him, but we definitely don't want him to go to a better franchise like New Orleans because of our ineptitude. So let's win some games here. Let's take this situation by the horns. We beat them already in their house twice, so that means this game is in ours. There's no reason to lose to a bad team at home, especially when everybody's coming back. You got guys like Anthony Davis coming back. I don't see any real opportunity for San Antonio to get a victory tonight, nor should they want one. So this is a perfect opportunity for us to work some guys back into our equation, play some good basketball within that, find some new rotations. Likely, that's just inevitable. Since Rui's here, we're going to find some new rotations, get used to some guys turning the ball over a little more, missing a little more shots, stuff like that, just get a new piece involved. It should be a little sloppy over the next couple games trying to get all these guys back into it. But because of the level of their talent, I still expect us to win games in this stretch. But that's a little skewed by the talent level of whom we're going to be seeing over the next several days. San Antonio, yeah, we could wipe the floor with them. Then we got a real 5-game road trip right after that that's going to probably test us to no end, especially given the fact that it's coming during the trade deadline. That means some more moves could possibly be made that could shake up our roster while we're on this trip. So I think it's going to be interesting to be patient with the team because we are incorporating new pieces and we are going to be on the road. So this may not be the greatest road trip on paper because of how much roster inconsistency is about to be coming up. So that's what I'm trying to prepare myself for. It's going to be kind of hard to beat the Boston Celtics when you're coming in with a team that don't know itself. And with new pieces coming in, guys coming back from injury, it's just going to be really tough in that game. And then you look at how Julius is playing. That's rough. I don't know how close KD is coming back, but I'm pretty sure Kyrie will want to play in the game that we're playing, and that's a back-to-back with the New York teams in their turf, man. So, and then you got that followed by an Indy game, and they want to feature their guys because of the same reason San Antonio does, trade time. And then last but not least, we got to deal with New Orleans, which I'm sure Zion's going to try to make his return because that's what everybody does against us. BI should probably be ready to come back as well. So we got a tough road trip ahead, man. But we do have a game tonight that we should be able to get a victory if we just do what it is that comes naturally to us and defeating a team that's going to try to beat itself. So that's what it is, man. Pay attention to Jeremy Sohan. That's a player that is starting to really pop off as a rookie for the San Antonio Spurs. A do-it-all power forward that's going to rebound the ball, offensive boards. He's getting some points up. Not the greatest shooter in the world, but he can hit the shot if you leave him alone too often. So I'm definitely super excited about his future. I think he's going to be one of the faces of the San Antonio Spurs as he continues to ascend. He's already a high-level rookie, so I think he'll be making all-star teams in no time. Keldon Johnson. Trey Jones is another player who I think has all-star upside. He's one of the most consistent point guards in the league right now because he has one of the most consistent roles in the league right now. With the San Antonio Spurs only having basically 1 or 2 point guards on their roster, having Josh Primo have his issues and not be a part of the team right now. It's really a bunch of minutes for him to take over. And like his brother, he's a highly talented player who continues to show what he can do on both sides of the floor. He gets a bunch of steals. He gets a bunch of shots up. And so he's a two-way guy that you must respect at all times. And given the fact that he's popping so fast, it's only been 2 years and he's already a high-level starter, I think his upside is all-star, as I said. I don't think anything less of that dude. He's already one of the most consistent young players out there. So highly underrated because of where he plays. But that's somebody who could really, really hurt you every night. So, yeah, that's what I think of him. Devin Vassell will not be out there. That's a very good thing. Devin Vassell's turned into one of the best pure shooters in the game. So the fact that he's not out there killing us on both sides is also a big deal. And that's what I want to say. Look, San Antonio got a bunch of two-way players, man. They're tanking on purpose. It's not that they're devoid of talent. If they want to flex, they can. Zach Collins is starting to step into his own after having a start to his career that was no good with injuries. Now, over the last several games, he's really doing good things for his team. He's really shown what he can play, that he can play. And it's a great time to inquire about him. I would not mind the Lakers acquiring Zach Collins the way he's playing right now, given the fact that his price tag is probably going to be on the rise from here. He's one of those guys, like I said, you want to get a lottery pick from several years back who didn't really pan out but still has upside. This is a great time to invest in that kid. He's got a lot of fire. He's going to rebound the ball. He's going to dunk the ball. He always plays well against the Lakers. He's always had a chip on his shoulder that's been evident in how he plays, and I expect to see that tonight. Very good role-playing center who hasn't been mentioned in trade rumors, but if I'm the Lakers, I would love to bring him to my situation because I already know he's going to play some good backup center, and he's going to come at a very, very cheap price. So instead of getting Doug McDermott, I'd rather us target Zach Collins in that situation. Give me Zach all day because I already know he's going to give me that rebounding. He's going to be mean. He's going to be mean, bro. That's what I like about Zach. Ever since he was with Portland, he's been mean. He's not a nice guy. He's dunking on people. He's pushing people, and I've always liked that aspect of his game. Somebody I want to go in a foxhole with. So I like that player, man. I know he's had these injury issues. Like I said, I don't have a hope that he's going to be some super duper star or nothing like that. But I'm telling you, when you talk about people you want to see in a playoff situation with the type of energy and intensity and madness that can come with the way that they play at times, Zach Collins always shown me a nasty streak that I felt really would fit in most situations I'd want to have going on. So that's a sneaky guy. I don't know how many minutes they're giving him. He's not the focal point of what they do, obviously, with Jakob down there and other bigs as well. He's not going to be the number one guy they're looking to turn to, but I'm telling you, when I see him play, he has a fire about him that matches the intensity that I want to see from a lot of my guys. So keep an eye on him. San Antonio's a good team. That's the thing. I don't look at them and say they suck, man. Josh Richardson's been playing better ball, like I said. He's really having a good stretch. And, the talent that they have is much better than you think. Roby is another young guy that they haven't had in rotation as of late, but we know he could pop. He played with OKC. So the ability to play is there. Malachi Branham is a player I want to mention again because they are using him in rotation, and I just really think he has some talent, man. Another wing young player that's going to get some looks there. With him in rotation and Langford starting to pop off. Stanley Johnson, our very own Stanley Johnson, is having a good week right now. He's balling out and his three-point shot is falling. Another one of those pieces that we just really respect and wish we didn't let go of, man. That trade that gave the Utah Jazz THT and Stanley Johnson for Patrick Beverley is still something that I'm really, really not comfortable with. And given the fact that Stanley Johnson is running around for a San Antonio team that doesn't want to win, when he's still playing well enough to help us, when he's still the piece that we could use right now, I just think it's a big indictment on Rob Pelinka, man. That trade should have never happened, bro. And we knew that when it happened. We said it before it happened. We said it after it happened. And now that we're in this space, we're going to see Stanley Johnson doing the things that we need him to do against us. It's unacceptable, man. And I'm not going to lie to you. If we can reacquire Stanley Johnson in trade right now, instead of, say, Doug McDermott in a trade like that, that's another piece. Give me Zach Collins. Give me Stanley Johnson back. Keep Doug McDermott. Okay, I must make that very clear, man. I don't want no parts of that contract. But they do have some stuff that I would be willing to get. So let's continue to talk to the San Antonio Spurs. If they're willing to take Russell Westbrook without taking those first-round picks, I think that's the place for him, man. I think that's the place for him. I remember this post that he had earlier in the season where he had the cowboy hat on right before we were going to play the San Antonio Spurs, I believe in the preseason. So he's always had his eyes over there in my mind. And I think he should have himself over there very soon, the way he's been playing. I just don't want to have to question whether or not a guy wants to win, bro. I don't. I've been in this space with him where I've been rooting for him to succeed. We've gone through the ebbs and flows. I've told you how much I appreciate him. I told you how much I couldn't stand some of the stuff he does. And I'm just at a place where I've looked at the fullness of it all, the whole accumulation of it all, and I'm just here to say, let's move on. Let's move on, man. For all that he does that I need, which is a lot, and for all that he does that I don't like, which is a lot, I've had enough. I'm in a place where I had enough, bro. Not enough to get rid of 2 picks to get rid of them. We ain't gonna overpay to do it. We'll continue to sit in the fire if we have to. But if we can get out from under this player for a reasonable price to help us bring some guys who are going to help us really actually want to succeed and win, people are going to be excited about us having victories, whether they play or not. People are going to bring some of that same fire and intensity that he brings, but none of that desire to cope with losing and forcing everybody else to cope with his ego. That's important for our unit, man. It's important for our coaching staff. Having to skate around his ego for the betterment of the environment itself, betterment of the morale. That's a deterrent to our success, even if he provides so very much. Statistically, there are other ways to get those rebounds. There are other ways to get that driving ability. There are other ways to get some of the stuff that he provides, and none of the trouble at much less of the cost. So I'm cool, man. I've seen enough. I want to see him win. I'd love to be wrong. I often overreact, whatever. But at the end of the day, that's how I feel right now, man. I don't want to do this with Russell anymore if I can help it. I don't believe he can win anymore. You know, I just don't. When you go through this with somebody so often and you see them make the same old mistakes and you see how they're wired, you just get to a point where it's like, yo, he's not on the frequency I'm on, man. He's not. And I ain't trying to force nobody to be somebody they're not. And I don't want to minimize what it is that he brings to the table, but because he brings so much, he has some value. So let's take that value and bring what we need to ourselves. Period. So that's where I'm at with it, man. That's where I'm at. I don't see any fruit in trying to force Russell Westbrook to be something he's not anymore. Trying to force him to see the fruit in valuing victories. I don't know what he knows. I don't know what he believes. For all I know, he thinks the games are fixed, so there's no reason for him to try to win. You know what I mean? If he's convinced of that or something like that, I can't convince that man anything else. I don't know what he knows. What I can tell you is, from where I'm sitting, winning is still the motive, man. It's still the motive. And when I watch LeBron James simultaneously get his stats and fight to high hell to try to win yesterday, there's no excuse. You can do both. You can totally do both. I watched LeBron James get 46 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists on no turnovers and no fouls. That performance deserved a good performance from Russell Westbrook, his leading running mate. And he just didn't get nothing from the man. And I don't know what to say other than to say he got to the line. 8 out of 13, that's great. He was trying. He was getting blocked. It wasn't like it was lack of effort. But it's like, if I'm going to look at the lack of production and then I'm going to react to the behavior, it's too much. Even if they're isolated in different positions, it's like I got to look at that crap and then I got to look at him being upset. After we win, I don't need both of those dynamics. I don't need that. You feel me? I don't need that. So at this point, I hear the Lakers are all over the place. I've heard they said they want to re-sign him. They're trying to keep him. I heard they said they want to trade him. So I just think there's a lot of misdirection coming from all different sides of different positions in the situation, who just want their own will to be done. Some people want Russell there. Other people want him somewhere else. Other people want to trade him for a certain price. Others want him traded for a higher price or what have you. So it's a lot of conflicting news coming out in regards to Russell. But at the end of the day, I think Genie Bus has seen the same thing I've seen. I think all the guys, the right Knights of the Round Table have all seen what we've seen, y'all. And I don't think there's too many people in the Laker organization who wants to go forward with Russell Westbrook if they're looking at what I've been seeing for the last 2 years. No, I can't see that not being unanimous at this point. I can't see it. So I expect him to get traded, man. I do. I wouldn't be surprised if they pull the trigger on him today, because at the end of the day, we're so close to the trade deadline. Everybody knows what the price tag is on this dude. Everybody knows that the Lakers are in a position to where they could afford to keep him if they have to, so we don't have to be fleeced for his price tag necessarily. And I think a deal gets done, bro. I think so. I'm in a space where I think I'm hopeful a deal gets done. I think I am. That's where we at. So as far as this game, San Antonio, man, look, we're going to have a lot of players coming back because we said it's going to be hard for us to beat anybody other than San Antonio tonight just because we have so many players coming back. But with the type of players we have, we should be able to flex pretty good. Anthony Davis, even if he plays limited minutes, we know he can do a lot of things. The discipline now for us, let's not fall in the traps that we had before he got hurt. Traps that we found ourselves falling into before he started playing the 50, 60-point level. And that was not getting the ball in the second half. Not allowing the respect of him not being a center, being that, to be the case. Running LeBron James and Anthony Davis as your bigs and then giving yourselves 3 guards is still garbage. You're still not going to give yourself enough size. Anthony Davis is a fantastic player, but we've seen for many years that he's not a natural rebounder. He's not somebody that you want banging with the Yusuf Nurkic's of the world. You don't. You would much rather him play the 4, and you would much rather see him on the floor with size. So now that Rui's here, we got Troy here, we got Winion here, we got Thomas here. I don't want to see Patrick Beverly running around down there with him and Dennis Schroeder and Lonnie Walker in these lineups with Anthony Davis and LeBron James. We know it don't work. We know it doesn't work. So, I don't want to start getting angry before I see something that would actually make it happen. But when people have shown you tendencies of doing things that don't make no sense, not respecting size, even when they have the ability to audible into it, you just wonder if you're going to see more of the same. I don't want to see that. And so Darvin Ham's going to have to earn our faith at this point. With the size that we have now, we're going to see if he could, do the right thing, man. Do the right thing, bro. This ain't deeper than that. You leave us at a disadvantage and get our butts kicked and embarrass us with this lack of size. You ain't got that excuse no more, Darvin. So we're going to be looking to you to use your common sense in regards to our size from here on out, bro. And if we don't see that, it's going to be a different tone. It's going to be a very different tone because you ain't got no excuses. So that's where I'm at with it, man. I'm excited about Rui Hachimura making his debut. I saw him working with the coach, Phil Handy. Shout out to Phil Handy for doing all the work, man. He's a very, very, very high-level asset for our franchise, and I'm happy he's here, man. So that's one of the things I wanted to make very clear. Again, Phil Handy is a asset. And I'm excited about the young fella, man. Rui Hachimura, man. He's going to start really making his legend. The Black Samurai is here, man, and that's what he calls himself. We support it, you know what I'm saying? We support him and his culture, and we're excited about him, man. We're open-minded that he can help us. I think he could really do some good things in the mid-range and using his big body. And if we continue to work with him, get his foot speed to a space where he can be a bit better than what he's been rumored to be with the foot speed. Maybe get him playing in some big lineups and stuff like that. Spot-up shooting, it should be a strength of his. I think we got ourselves a potential developing star-level player if we get the most out of him, the absolute most out of him. Yeah, he might make an all-star team in our uniform. Don't rule that out by any stretch of the imagination. He definitely has the package of offensive skills and the big body to do it a bunch of times. And from what I understand, which is some great news, is that what kept him out of the game wasn't physical, which I didn't know. I thought he had some type of knee or something like that. Nah, that boy was in excellent shape. He just had some other stuff off the court that kept him away from the game for a good majority of the time. So that news right there changes everything, because my understanding is that he wasn't durable, and now we're finding out that may not have ever been a problem in the first place. So hopefully whatever he had going on off the court is long behind him. He looked about as happy as any human being I've ever seen traded to the Lakers yesterday, sitting on that bench. That boy was looking like he was living his dream. You could see the wonder in his eyes. It was like he was in heaven or something. So I'm telling you, Rui, the Lakers ain't what it's cracked up to be. I'm a Laker fan. I've been a Laker fan my entire life, bro, longer than you've been alive, homie. And I'm telling you, it ain't that unless you perform here. You know what I mean? I don't want you thinking it's some beautiful thing. It ain't. It could be hell, man. Talk to Russell. He'll tell you. It's all about how well you work, how well you take to these lights, and then just working on yourself, man, because we are a championship level team, but we also understand what it takes to become a champion. And it's a journey, bro. It ain't overnight. It ain't instant quick grits, none of that. You're going to take your time. You're going to do what you got to do, listen to those coaches, and you're going to learn what it takes to be a Laker. And from there, you're going to find out that it's your duty to believe that you can win every game, man. And some of these guys on this team have betrayed that. Others have not. But you have a birthright once you put on this uniform to championship glory. And I want to see you succeed. I want to see the entire country of Japan succeed in regards to seeing these Lakers win a championship, because I know they behind us now, and that's what's up. So that's what it is, baby. Super excited about all that. Anthony Davis, welcome back, man. You know how I feel about you, bro. We talked about this a million times. It ain't personal. I just can't trust your health. It ain't personal. You know, my respect for his game doesn't know an end, and my respect for his character doesn't know an end either. But I don't assess that for me. This is chess. That's it. And if my piece can't stay healthy and I'm leaning on him too much, I got to remedy that. So I'm hopeful the Lakers will do some thinking about that, man. I'm hoping they'll trade him. I am. Y'all know I am. And I'm not going to sit up here and say I don't expect him to play well or even lead another team to a championship, because that's a dangerous fear of mine that could happen. But I just don't think we can build this way or lean this way or ever actually have a great chance at a championship this way. I just don't. So that's my thinking, man. But welcome back, Anthony Davis. Hopefully you can prove me wrong and stay healthy for a nice long stretch of time and lead us to the promised land. To the promised land again. So that's what it is, man. Frustrated Laker fan, hopeful for the best, but prepared for the worst. It is what it is. The Lakers should win the game tonight if they shoot well. But if you don't shoot well, San Antonio can accidentally beat you, so do not think for a second that they cannot. I don't expect Braun to play tonight. I really don't. I think he'll sit this one out. I would be very surprised if he's out there. Back-to-back, the way the game went last night, how well he played, how many minutes he played, it's a good night for him to rest. Got a big road trip coming up with some hard, tough teams. We're going to need him out there for those. He don't need to play in this one. And also, I'm worried that he's going to miss one of them Knicks or Brooklyn games too. He's going to miss one of those because that's a back-to-back on the road. Even though this New York market, and I can see him wanting to play in both of those games, I'm leaning toward the franchise probably making him sit one of them games. So let's just prepare ourselves for the possibility of that. At any rate, San Antonio tonight, keep an eye on the players that they have that they're looking to feature. Obviously, they're going to want to play well. But at the end of the day, Keldon Johnson should miss enough threes to assure they lose, so long as we do what we need to do to rebound the ball. My name is BDL44. I thank you all for watching.